Good morning, everyone. Trudeau is having a blast in Costa Rica. He's enjoying the sights and taking in some local culture, I guess. This is a picture of him at a convenience store, I think. It looks like a convenience store. He's looking a little rough. Looking a little hair of the dog. This was posted January 1st, yesterday. And, well, here's some other photos. I would say, if only we could see if he had a beard or not. Oh, yeah, there you go. He's got a beard and he's taking pictures. And he's got a cut on his nose. Canada's prime minister, everyone. Yeah, cut on his nose. I don't know how you could get a cut on your nose. I guess down in Costa Rica, anything is possible, right? Ouch. It's no good. But remember, says Katie Simpson, Canada's watching this closely. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has previously asked the Trump administration to hold off on a final agreement with China unless the two detained Canadians are released. Well, I mean, it's at night. You can see that Trudeau's out at night, so at least he's awake and maybe paying attention to this whole China thing, right? This whole U.S.-China agreement. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe Deputy Prime Minister Freeland's taking care of it. Came across this morning, and this happened, well, there was a shooter in Washington who was shooting people from the trunk of a car, and he was a sniper. And this was a really big deal. The whole city was under siege, and this is probably more than a decade ago now. It was like 2006 or something like that. And I remember it really clearly. I was watching the news and it was a really big deal. And I just feel like Toronto is kind of getting into that crisis state at this point in time. Every morning I wake up, it's more gunshot victims, more stabbing victims, more pedestrians being run over by vehicles. And this morning I came across this one. Quote, this is the Toronto police operators. It's the sound of gunshots 11 hours ago. So this is 11 o'clock last night. Sound of gunshots, River Street and Dundas Street, multiple shots heard. Shooter may be on the balcony. Police on scene have located two victims, both with life-threatening injuries. EMS rushed to the scene. Will be emergency run for both victims. Sound of gunshots, River Street and Dundas Street. Reports that shooter was in an elevated position. Reports are unconfirmed. We caution people in the area to stay inside or don't venture into the area until officers make areas safe. Emergency run for both victims, DH. And there's no response to this to say the area is now safe. So, like I keep saying on Twitter, and if you follow my Twitter account, I do retweet, and not Canada Poly, my personal Twitter account, I do retweet a lot about the violence that's happening in Toronto. This is not the same city that it was 20 years ago. I used to go with my family, and my dad and mom used to let me walk down the street to the local convenience store with my little brother. And I don't know that I would feel comfortable doing that with my children. That's a fundamental difference. And I don't think that's a parenting difference. Moving on. Liberals, CBC is reporting, and this is January 2nd, that's this morning, Liberals plan a new program to allow communities to pick their immigrants. Municipal nominee program is meant to fill local labor needs. Remember that, because we're going to look at labor shortages in the news now. Through this article. Here we go. The federal government plans to bring in a new immigration program that will allow cities and towns to pick newcomers based on local labor needs. The Liberals promised to create a municipal nominee program during the election campaign. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau instructed new Immigration Minister Marco Mendicino to begin work on the project in his recent mandate letter. The plan is to give local communities, chambers of commerce, and labor councils a say in the selection of immigrants, helping them to match newcomers with labor needs in various communities. At least 5,000 new spaces will be created for the program, according to the mandate letter. Mendicino said this new pathway to permanent residency is another example of innovation in Canada's immigration programs, one that allows the system to, quote, draw on local experiences, expertise, capacities to understand where there are labor shortages, where are the economic opportunities, and how that information can help us select individuals who wish to come to Canada to ply with their trade to fulfill their opportunity. I scroll down just a little bit. Over the last decade, 75% of Canada's population growth has come from immigration, and by 2031, immigration is expected to account for 80% of Canada's population growth, says the IRCC. I scroll down again. Leah Nord, Director of the Workforce Strategies and Inclusive Growth for the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, said labor gaps persist across the country and nearly 500,000 jobs are going unfilled in many sectors. Okay, but hold on a second. This is a report from September 6, 2019. So this is last quarter of 2019. Q4, we're in Q1 2020, so this is comparable numbers. CBC is reporting Alberta men 25 under 25 and over 55 face highest unemployment rates, says StatsCan. And it says the job market in Alberta remains stalled, with younger males and men nearing retirement bearing the brunt, according to new numbers released by Statistics Canada. The province added 1,200 full-time jobs last month, but lost 600 part-time jobs, while the unemployment rate hit 7.2%, up from 7.0% in July. Employment growth has remained mostly flat in Alberta over the past months, but continued population gains have stalled recovery, according to University of Calgary economist Trevor Tombe. The fraction of people who are employed has been declining. The gap today is equivalent to about 52,000 jobs, Tombe said. That is, we need about 52,000 more Albertans to be employed to get back to the employment rate we had prior to the recession. And there's some more numbers and other things there, but here's another article talking about the same thing. This is December 6th. So again, Q4 2019, and comparable numbers to today. This is just a month ago. Global News is reporting Canadian economy shed 71,000 jobs in November, biggest loss since the financial crisis. Bring more people in, though. That's the solution. Match them to the barista jobs in your local town, in your hometown. Yay. Okay, so I scroll down again from the original article. Immigration is a formative solution. The report says immigration will remain a formative solution and account for all of Canada's net labor force growth. Mendocino's mandate letter also tasks him with implementing Canada's immigration level plan to bring 1 million new permanent residents to Canada over a 3-year period. So another 1 million people. And people have compared that to a couple of Atlantic provinces. I think it's like 2 PEIs or a couple of Mississaugas or whatever. But that's a lot of people. How are we paying for this? The idea is that we're supposed to be benefiting from the workers coming, but overwhelmingly, the people coming aren't working. So, right? It's a catch-22. What are you going to do? The jobs are going to continue to be open, and Alberta seems like, why can't we bring people from other provinces to the places that they need? Why can't we use money for the immigration to fill the job needs if that's the driving force? But they don't want to do that. Immigration will remain a formative solution for the labor force growth. So they don't want to do that, right? It seems wild, right? No, keep the Albertans in Alberta. Very strange. Very strange. The last little bit for today, and my video is kind of short. I wasn't going to play this, but I should. I'm going to play the first 30 seconds because it is a short video. Sorry if it's quiet. But the founder of the Weather Channel, who is a scientist, and he says, I am a scientist. Mr. Kenny's not a scientist, and blah 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 blah. This is a CNN news video, by the way. And he says he is a scientist and global warming is just not happening. And the reason that 97.5% of scientists agree is because that's where the money comes from. So he explains it at the end, that's where the money comes from. No, I'm not going to play it. Link is in the description. I think you should go watch it if you haven't watched it. But he dismantles in 2 minutes the global warming lie. And it is a lie, right? There's no consensus. Science does not work on consensus, right? There's not 10 guys who get in a room and decide what's scientifically correct. That's very, very 15th century or so. And sorry, I've got my ancient history. I'm not so good with that. But, that's old school. That's consensus rules is not how you want things to play out. It should be scientific and not the corrupt scientific of, if you give us the results we like, we continue funding your research. And if you give us the results that we don't like, then I'm sorry, your grant it's much more complicated to get. You have to jump through these 9 hoops. And didn't you know you had to have this in last week? Sorry, you're disqualified. They play games like that, just like they do on Twitter. It's all the same. So, I mean, in a post-truth world, in a feelings world, does this matter? I don't know, right? He dismantles it. He gives a plausible reason, and do I know if it's true? I don't know if it's true, right? Who knows if it's true? But he gives a plausible reason for the 97.5% consensus. He gives plausible credentials. I started the Weather Network because I was a scientist who wanted to talk about weather. And as a scientist, there is no global warming. There was no global warming, and it's not happening, and it isn't expected to happen. So this whole thing's a farce. It's a hoax, says him, right? And does it matter though? I don't know. Because if the majority of people believe it, then they look at this guy and go, oh yeah, well, he's a kook, right? Or they look at me and say he's a kook or whatever. And so does it matter? I don't know. But he said it. So, and there are more people saying it. There are more people saying, no, I'm going to stop being quiet about this. This is damaging. It's not happening. So there it is. Interesting stuff happening on the world stage. Interesting stuff happening down in Costa Rica. Man, Man, I've been in convenience stores like that, right? Moonless nights in Costa Rica too. Look at that. No stars around at all. Wild, right? Where's Sophie? Didn't she post a... Hold on, she did. Last thing. My goodness. I've gotten off track. This is December 31st, I believe, and this is Sophie posted... Oh, December 24th. And Trudeau was in Costa Rica. You can tell by his itinerary. And Sophie wasn't there. She's snowy and right? And this is Christmas Eve? I don't know. Seems a little weird, right? Seems a little weird. Just things to note. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com and have a wonderful, wonderful day.